Welcome back, everyone, to A to Zett Podcast and Ultraman Podcast, where we talk about everything Ultraman under the sun. I am John Andor Geim, and I'm joined always by my lovely co-host.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Swoops, the science scientist, the dimensional doctor, and the madman with no plan. And today we are talking about the news in the world of Toku.
That's right.
So, but as a bit of a preface, it's been a minute, everyone. We haven't done any type of episodes or content in a while. Just wanted to say, moderately speaking, we're doing well, doing better. Guy, do you want to touch on that just for a bit?
Yeah, I'm going to touch on it a little bit. I'm not going to go too in-depth on this because, one, I don't really want to, and two, I'm sure y'all don't really care. But basically, I had a serious back injury and surgery, and the recovery time was a really long time. So I'm still trying to get back into the groove of things before the injury, and that's kind of why we've put the podcast on hold. But we are back.
Back and better than ever. Doing it the only way we know how.
That's right. So today is another news episode because, one, we haven't been back for a while, so there's a lot of stuff we need to catch up on, and two, it's kind of the quickest thing we can throw together last minute. So
well, don't make it seem like we haven't been doing anything for the past 2 months, 3 months.
Well, we have been behind the scenes, but you know what I mean. It's the easiest thing to kind of ease ourselves back in the groove.
Yeah, there we go. That's much better. It's like a baby step towards doing the podcast again, because we don't have to talk about anything hard hitting.
Right. That's kind of what I meant by that. But there's one quick little add-on I wanted to put on at the top of the show. Our last news episode, we were talking about the different Mill Creek releases, and I mentioned the Rise of Ultraman Blu-ray set, which was the deep discount exclusive, and it had a few episodes of the original Ultraman series remastered with its English dub, and then I was under the impression it was like a behind the scenes special on the Marvel Ultraman comic, and I thought it was gonna like give us some behind the scenes kind of stuff. I was able to watch that, and that's not what that is at all.
Oh, what did it actually end up being?
It's a 5-part, I guess you could call it series, but it's a 5-part little special where each part is about the issue, and it's literally a visual summary with a guy narrating.
Oh, that's less interesting.
Yeah, so I'm not too bummed because I only paid like $9 or something for that Blu-ray because it was like on sale when I grabbed it. So I'm not too bummed about it, but if I wouldn't necessarily, that would probably be the first Ultraman Mill Creek release that we've had that I would probably say if you don't care about the English dubs, it's really not worth it.
Right, I got you. Also, I have something I'd like to call back to from the last news episode we did. Remember when we in the last one we had just sort of gotten a bit of a teaser for the new Kamen Rider's belt and driver, and I made a comment about it, and you were like, "Huh, that would be interesting." I'd like to point out I was freaking right.
You were the little like etch-a-sketch kind of thing you were going with.
Yeah, I was right. It's exactly what that was, and I was so happy when I found that out.
Yeah, I was really impressed when we found that out. I'm like, dude, you called it. Good job, man.
Yeah.
But basically, it's like a little like screen that's made out of that same stuff, like an Etch-a-Sketch is or whatever, and it's got like metallic shavings, I guess, inside it, and you take a stamp, and the stamp is like shaped out with a magnet, so it like kind of pulls that up, so it makes like a little indentation image of what was on the bottom of the stamp. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, honestly, Revice's gimmick is pretty neat. Like, I think it's like one of the more neat ones that's kind of like over the top, but not really, that we've had in a while. Because I know sometimes like they're not the best.
Yeah.
but like the icon wasn't great in my opinion. I thought the ride watches were cool as a collectible, but I thought thematically they weren't the best.
Mm-hmm.
01's I think was spot on, by the way, but that one wasn't really a huge, big, bulky one because it went inside the driver.
Uh-huh.
And then Sabers, I didn't like the books. But these stamps, the stamps are cool. I like them.
Yeah, they're real neat. We're getting off on a tangent already, but
it's our first recording back. Of course, we're getting off on a tangent already.
Basically, the gimmicks that have both lights and sounds in them are usually the best ones. You know,
I mean, true.
Lock Gaia Memories.
Oh yeah, the lock did have a light, and I was like, the light things didn't have lights.
Rise Keys, Revised Stamps,
But I think you can have a gimmick without a light that's still good, and maybe it probably needs at least sound.
Well, but, the Wonder Ride books only had sound.
Well, hold on, yeah, but those were trash. But let's go to one that's good. The shift cars didn't have sounds or lights, but the shift cars were really cool.
Because they're Hot Wheels.
Okay, and
because they're a toy on their own. Most gimmick items aren't really a toy on their own unless it's like a little fidgety doohickey.
Okay, well then let's go back a little bit further then. What about in Forza, the Astro Switches? They didn't have sounds, and certain special edition ones had lights technically. But like the main releases of them didn't. They were just pieces of plastic that you could fiddle with.
Yeah, but that's because they were almost like hitting that fidget spinner aspect of it, because it's like a switch. Literally, there were Astro switches, so
yes.
Like you go up and down.
It was more than just up and down, sir. There was they could do a lot.
Twist around. You played a whole Bop It game with them.
Yeah.
You spin it, you flicked it, you twisted it,
ooh baby,
whatever. You know, whatever. Anyway, let's get on to track.
Right, all right, we'll get back on track. So the news. All right, first up on our announcements, we're going to be talking about Ultraman stuff, of course, because Ultraman Podcast. What's coming up first?
Yeah, so over the summer, they always do the Ultra Heroes Expo in Japan, which is basically like they do stage shows throughout the year, but the Heroes Expo is a little bit more than just a stage show. Of course, they have the stage show, but they also do this whole like shebang where they like they have the where you can buy basically whatever you want. But they also put in a whole
how they make money off
attractions.
So they make money during the off season.
Yeah, exactly. They put these attractions up where like they make these scenes of Ultraman fighting aliens with these model cities, miniatures set up, and it's a really cool spectacle to see. I would love to go and see one eventually. I've seen video clips of people just filming, walking around, and I've also seen photos of these types of things. Looks like a whole lot of fun. I would love to see eventually.
Well,
but,
I mean, when we finally plan our trip, we'll just have to make sure we go during an expo. Like, we can plan our trip around that, I suppose. It's a...
Yeah.
You know? It's like, oh, let's go to Japan during, like, the Sakura Festival or the New Year, something like, oh, that's really exciting. It's like, no, we're going to go when there's an Ultraman Expo.
That's right. But basically, the thing I wanted to mention here is Ultraman Agul got an upgrade form called Ultraman Agul Supreme version. So Agul is the blue, for the lack of a better term, secondary rider in Ultraman Gaia. And because this whole year has been focused on Tiga, Super I kind of lumps Tiga, Dyna, and Gaia together. So like when they're celebrating the anniversary of Tiga, they're celebrating the anniversary of Tiga, Dyna, Gaia. Like they even have like branded TDG 15th anniversary merch right now.
Well, it's like having your birthday, fall and Christmas, and everybody tries to lump the two things together.
Yeah, my stepmom, her birthday's on Christmas. She demands people give her 2 presents.
I demand 2 of the things, or 1 super deluxe thing.
Yep, that's what I usually end up doing. I'm like, I'll probably spend twice the amount I would on everybody else's present on your present, but you're just getting 1.
He's like, no. You're still only getting 1 thing, but your budget's doubled, so you can get that.
That's right.
It makes shopping slightly easier, right?
Yeah. And she's pretty cool. So I end up usually getting her a video game or something.
Oh, is she a gamer?
I mean, as casually, you know the whole at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone was buying Nintendo Switches and Switch Lites and stuff like that.
Oh, right. And Animal Crossing, because Animal Crossing should have been the game of the year, but it got stolen. But that's a different topic. Not Ultra related.
That's right. But anyway.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about the Switch OLED.
Yeah. But anyway.
So yeah, what's this?
Form is pretty cool.
Very, I don't know. I want to say Daredevil-y. Like, not like the superhero Daredevil. I mean, like the red, white, blue on the suit. You know what I mean?
I see what you mean. Well, so basically,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched Gaia yet, and I know you haven't either. So Gaia and Aguru both have like V1 and V2 forms
cool.
throughout the show.
Mm-hmm.
And Gaia gets a version called Gaia Supreme, and it's basically his form, but he adds in blue in it. And Gaia's normally
blue. No, red.
All red.
Red.
And then Aguda's all blue. So they added a little bit of blue into this one. This form is like the inverse of the Gaia form, where it's mostly blue, but they add in the red, where the blue would be on Gaia. So it's like the inverse color palette, and it's really cool.
Okay, yeah, that's actually really cool thematically speaking. I like it.
I do too. It's I was trying to think of what that reminded me of. It reminds me of like Lupin Ranger versus Pato Ranger.
Wait, hold on. You have to explain that one to me.
So Lupin Ranger, the main palette. So they've got their primary colors and then a black accent color. And then the Pato Rangers, they have their main color and then a white accent color.
Okay.
But where the accent color is on the one team, the primary color is. So it's inverse. So
I never noticed that.
If you look at like the Lupin Rangers, they're mostly the primary colors, and then they have black accents.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the Pato Rangers, they're mostly white, and in the same spots as the accents, they've got their color.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I never actually really noticed that. That's really cool.
Yeah, I noticed that around the time it started, and I was like, oh, that's such a great visually thematic element. But yeah, I don't really have much else to talk about it. They showed it off. It was in a stage show. It looks cool. I just wanted to mention it.
Agreed, and we'll probably see it in the Gamba Rising, or whatever Ultraman's version of that is.
Fusion Fight.
Yeah, we'll probably see it in Fusion Fight, and then it'll never be on the show. Well, it might be. It could be, I guess. They have the suit.
Yeah, it might, because they've really gotten to the point where they're putting in like stage show exclusive suits into these like absolute conspiracy type video things.
Yeah, that's
just
because
they have the suit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They have the suit, so they might just do it.
I mean, if they got them, they might as well use them. It's not gonna be like Kamen Rider, and it's like, hey, let's give these guys like really, really cool stage show suits, and then we never use them.
Yeah, or it ends up being, oh, we're just gonna use the same suit that we already had and then just spray paint it a different color. And instead of making a new suit, we just ruin the old suit. So if it comes back, we'll have to paint it back, and then you can tell that we just painted over it again.
Are you taking shots at Saber because it feels like it?
Taking shots at non-specific seasons because it happens quite a lot. But yes, Saber is a offender of that. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
Vital Bracelet for Ultraman and Kamen Rider have been revealed.
Oh yeah, so if those of you don't know, the Vital Bracelet was revealed I think like last year, and it was pretty much exclusively at the time a Digimon based thing where you got these little USBs essentially, and then you loaded them into the bracelet, and then you had a little Digimon companion, and then like it was essentially a Tamagotchi that was alive if you were healthy, because you would walk with it and you get steps and all that, and you could like digivolve it and all this cool stuff. And there was a companion app that was supposed to be where you could battle it, but if I remember, the app didn't really work quite right when it first came out. I'm not sure if they've ironed out the kinks yet. I just know that was the case at the beginning.
It's basically the original Digimon Tamagotchis fused with a Fitbit.
Yeah, you know. And I don't know if the quality was amazing. I know we had the ability to get them here for a while on Premium Bandai, but
yeah, Premium Bandai is weird because they'll sell. They don't want to ship things internationally, but then they started shipping things to America, but only select items, and it was mostly just really expensive clothing that was in Japanese sizes that we probably couldn't fit in anyway. Because we're large Westerners, or I'm speaking for myself specifically, and also it was mostly just like Digimon and a few Gundam items that they would sell. They wouldn't sell any Ultraman. They wouldn't sell any what they probably deemed didn't have a Western audience.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we couldn't get our Super Sentai. Well, that was probably licensing due to.
Yeah,
Hasbro,
I mean that has its own tie-ups. I'm more of the Rider and the Ultra.
Mostly Rider and Ultra, exactly. But yeah, now there's Ultraman and Kamen Rider versions of this, which I was seriously tempted by the Ultraman one. But coming in at like roughly $100.
It's $100?
It's a lot.
Wait, hold on. The special limited edition for the Vital Brace that was like the for the Digimon one was only like $60.
But remember, they're not selling it to Western audiences. So you have
right,
to go
those
through
aren't.
Premium Bandai middlemen, which they all get a cut because you're using a middleman service.
Okay.
So it ends up being about $100 by the time you get it in your hand, with shipping and middleman fees.
Okay. And if I remember though, something about this, they have some compatibility with each other, but not a lot. Do you know the specifics of that?
The Ultraman and Kamen Rider ones, and I think whatever else they do in that series, as in like, I've heard rumblings of a Gundam one. I don't know if this was rumor or true, but I heard rumblings of a Gundam one. But if they did do a Gundam one, it would be in the same series. Basically, the non-Digimon stuff is all compatible with each other, but the non-Digimon stuff is not compatible with the Digimon stuff.
Right, I gotcha. I will say this though. This is one thing I do know about them. The DIM cards, or the little USBs, they are locked in the sense that once you use them with a bracelet, they can only be used with that bracelet.
Right.
So
you can't share the little
USB
thingies.
And I don't think you can even transfer it once you've used it. So if you are going to pick these up, and you might be picking some up with a friend, don't go in thinking like you only need one between y'all, because that won't work.
Right. And another way to sap more money out of you. But let me run through this real quick. For the Ultraman ones, they've got an Ultraman one, a Tiga one, a Zero one, and a Zett one. So that's basically just the cards themselves, because the bracelets black, and it's got a little red accent color, and has the Ultraman 55 anniversary logo on it.
You know, I'm kind of surprised they put Zett on as a monster version of one and not like Gomora.
Yeah, you'd think Gomora is like a very popular one, but they always, usually with Ultraman, like when we're talking like original Ultraman, original recipe, not extra crispy.
Right.
Zeton was like the only monster that ever defeated him.
Oh, spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers, sorry. But that's why they always include him with Ultraman, because he's like his big enemy.
Right.
Kind of like how with X, you know, his big enemy was Grieza.
Right.
Yeah, so they always kind of like put Zeton in the big enemy of Ultraman. So that's why they usually include him with things like this.
I mean, heck, during the last Absolute Conspiracy, didn't have like the Zeton family where it was like 7 different variants?
Yeah, I don't know if it was 7, but it was a lot. Yeah, it was at least 5 different ones. But yes, exactly. That's kind of what they were going with.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Kamen Rider one is the same kind of black, but it's got like a army green kind of accent color to it, and it has the
I think it's
50th anniversary.
I think it's meant to emulate Ichigo.
Yeah, it is. But I was just kind of trying to describe the color.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And it's got the 50th anniversary Kamen Rider logo on that. So they've got the Ichigo, the Kuga, the 01, and then Hirobi, which is 01's bad guy.
I think it's Horobi.
Yes, I'm just...
yeah, and if you're wondering, no, I didn't buy one. And why? Because I never wear a watch. So even if I buy one, I never use it. Look at me being responsible.
I was thinking the same, because it's like, is it interesting? Yes, it's awesome. But I'm not going to use it. It's going to be fun for 3 days, and then I'm going to put it in a drawer and forget I have it.
Yeah, that's how stuff like that goes. I mean, even like sometimes that's I was like, oh, it'd be nice, like have it, like you just mess with it, fiddle with it every now and then. But something like that, like it's a lot to pay for importing costs when you don't wear a watch.
Right.
And speaking on quality, is it still like I want to say something that's not true and like be negative on it, but like I've heard like the quality for the actual pedometer inside it isn't great.
I've heard now, like I haven't had, I've not held it physically, and I don't know this for a fact, but from people I know who have at least the Digimon version,
right?
They've said the plastic quality on it, number one, it's plastic. The plastic quality feels a little cheap.
Okay.
And the pedometer, like you said, is basically you shake your arm and you got steps. It's as primitive as the Pokewalker from DS era.
Hold your horses, sir. The Pokewalker was a gem of a device, and it had a really high quality plastic. Like I still have mine.
No, I'm not talking about the plastic quality on the Pokewalker. I'm talking about the pedometer, because you could just sit there and shake it.
Oh yeah, they did that in the commercial.
That's what I'm talking about. It's like, that is what I'm liking it to. No, the Pokewalker had good quality plastic, and it was really fun, and I loved playing with that thing. But you could just... I remember what we did was we tied it to a string or something and put it on the ceiling fan.
I thought that's where you were going with that, and I was like, wait a minute. You know, the fun thing too is always if you accidentally leave it in a pair of pants and you put them in the dryer, I get you some steps.
Yeah, it would probably break it.
No, because that thing was a monster. Now, if you washed it, it might break it, but like just in the dryer, probably it'd hold up, I think.
I'm not one to put my pants in a dryer before putting them in a washer, though.
Yeah, well, sometimes it happens.
Yeah. Anyway, we've been on this one too long. It's out, or it's not out. It's the pre-orders might have even closed by now because this was a while back, but it's a thing that's happening.
It's in the world. You guys can now know about it. Go get your Vital bracelet if you want.
Yeah. And speaking of things that are coming out and the pre-order windows are probably already closed by now, the next item in the Ultra Replica line is the Ultra Replica Orb Ring. So it's akin to the Super Sentai Artisan line, as well as the CSM for Kamen Rider.
Mm-hmm.
This is supposed to be like the nice version of this thing.
Oh.
So it's a new orb ring, and it comes with all of the cards. Plus, they're doing new cards for G through Trigger, which wouldn't have existed because those didn't exist when Orb was out.
That's cool that they're actually updating it. Because, like, I remember when they released the Decade one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Like, they didn't update the card list.
No, they did.
No, they didn't update the card list until they did the DK21 belt.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like DK just didn't have the new cards when they made the CSM version. Because obviously the CSM Decade belt didn't come out like in the same year. So, but strangely enough, they did have like an expanded deck that you could buy separately, and it was also like way overpriced.
Welcome to Premium Bandai.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even pay that much money for Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
All those items were Premium Bandai.
Yes. Premium Bandai.
As well as this.
For some reason, you can get figures there cheaper, and I don't understand.
What?
Sometimes, yeah, it's starting to get to the point you can get stuff at Premium Bandai cheaper. Like if it's like figures and stuff. It's weird.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this.
It's certain things. And sellers and stuff. Anyway, though.
I'm sure it's probably just they have if they make it available to purchase from people that are not domestically in Japan, then the price immediately goes down because a lot of that inflated costs are due to middleman fees.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so a quick thing. A guy named, let's see, Tatsuhisa Suzuki. He is the voice actor that was going to play Taro in the season 2 of the Ultraman Netflix show.
Right.
He has stepped away from the project.
Do we know anything surrounding that, or is it just been an announcement?
There are rumors floating around. I don't want to get too in depth on it because there was a lot of allegations thrown.
Right. And no need to try to fling mud when we don't know what actually happened.
Yeah, there apparently. So he specifically was known for the Seven Deadly Sins franchise, and he was also the voice of Usato Lettuce in Tokume Sentai Go Busters. Yeah, I know, right?
Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, so basically I found out that he was married or is married to the what's her name? Lisa? Is that it?
Lisa, what do you mean?
The musician that's real popular in Japan. I think it's Lisa. She sang a lot of the Sword Art Online openings.
Oh,
and she also did, I think, is it Demon Slayer is the name of the song?
Demon Slayer is probably the anime.
Yeah. The song that goes like Suyoku.
Yeah, the
Nareru.
opening.
Is that Demon Slayer?
Yeah, that's the opening of Demon Slayer.
Yeah. She sang that too.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, apparently there's a lot of issues going on there, and there's a lot of personal things going on, and a lot of allegations being thrown back and forth. And I don't really want to weigh in on it, and I don't want to get into it because I don't know anything that's going on. I'm just what I can read from an article.
Right.
And
But
I
just
don't really
to know
care
though.
that much.
Right. No need to get into the celebrity drama of a different country, I suppose. Just to know the actor is not going to be in the anime.
Yeah, I don't care about celebrity drama in my country, let alone someone else's. So basically, he's not going to be in it anymore. They're still saying it's slated for spring 2022. I don't know if this is going to hinder production any. Who knows if he's even done his lines. I don't know if his lines are done and they're just sticking with that, or if they're going to recast them and they have to redo the lines. I don't know. And they're being so vague with information about this production. They're basically just saying, okay, spring 2022. Okay. I hope it happens soon. You know?
I mean, we'll know in like 2 to 3 months, won't we?
Yep, it's right around the corner. Next topic. On September 24th, Ultra Connection Live did a live stream. Now, this is the live streams that they've been doing that you have to pay to watch.
Like the Sevengar fight.
Exactly. This is the same people, the same thing that did the Sevengar fight thing. This was their first free stream, and I was actually free to be able to watch it when it was airing. So I did, and they had a few actors come in and talk. The guy from Max, Ultraman Max, one of the crew members from Ultraman Max, speaks fluent English.
Oh, that's cool.
I think he's... I don't know if he's Japanese American or if he's something else or completely American that just learned Japanese. I don't know his...
He's bilingual.
Yeah. I don't know his thing, but he is an actor in Japan and he's fluent in both Japanese and English. So good on him. But he's been hosting these because he's he's presenting the live stream in English as well as Japanese. So it gets a little bogged down when he's got to stop and translate for himself as well for the actors, but it's just a really cool experience, period, that they're able to do that in general.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah, so this last one they had Koichi Sakamoto on it, and he's basically the biggest director right now for Toku.
Okay.
They get him to direct almost everything. He's directed The Absolute Conspiracy. He's directing the sequel. He directed New Generation Heroes. He directed most of Zett. And he's directed basically episodes in every series.
Okay, so you mean like Ultra, not like every Toku.
He also does direct episodes of Rider and Sentai, but it's not whole seasons, it's select arcs. He'll come in and direct a few episodes.
I see.
He also got his he also cut his teeth on Power Rangers, and he was over here and did a lot of the suit fight action stuff because they brought Japanese suit actors over, and he basically brought Japanese, like for like Wild Force specifically is the one I'm thinking of. He worked with Power Rangers Wild Force, and I think he did stuff before then and after then as well, but that's the one that's really sticking in my head. They brought over Japanese suit actors, and all of the American footage of the action stuff was him.
That's actually really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Koichi Sakamoto is a really cool dude. He does a lot of interviews, and he'll do interviews in English too, because he's had to learn English. But he came on and he announced that the sequel title for The Absolute Conspiracy is called Ultra Galaxy Fight: The Destined Crossroads, and it's going to premiere in 2022. Unfortunately, it's going to premiere exclusively on the Japanese Subaru Imagination app first, and then we're going to get word on how it will be distributed overseas.
But we are getting it, so, that's the takeaway.
Yeah, we are getting it somehow, but we don't know exactly how. Also, if you go to ultraconnection.com and make a free account, you are able to watch the first 7 episodes of Sevengar Fight for free, as well as the director cuts of Ultra Galaxy Fight: The New Generation Heroes and The Absolute Conspiracy. Unfortunately, the director cuts are the English dub, which I'm not a fan of personally.
Me either.
But each of those contain about 5 minutes of extra footage. So,
among
both of them, it's 10 minutes extra footage.
I wonder if they think that we like the English dubs more than we actually do.
Well, honestly, there are people who do.
There are. But I know, they're, as always, for Super Raya, their budget is limited in everything they're doing.
Yeah.
So I just feel like they could probably save the money dubbing things when probably the majority of the people over here who care are going to read subs anyway and just want it in the original voice and use it for, better marketing or a better ease of access to get it over here. That's just my opinion on it. I don't know all the background details. I don't know what they have in the works. Maybe it's just not doable. So it's easy to say this without knowing what's going on. It's just it's just something I want to bring up.
Personally, I don't know either, because I don't have any inside information on this, but my opinion is very similar to yours. I don't like dubs, period. Well, for anime, it depends. It's a case-by-case scenario, because some dubs are really good.
Agreed.
But if it's live action, I don't want a dub, period. I don't care if I'm watching a French movie, Japanese, Korean, or Spanish movie. I don't care what the movie is. If it's live action, I don't want dubs, period, because it's frustrating to me. And I would much rather just do subtitles. But personally, there are people who feel completely opposite about that. I can't get my sister won't give anime a try, even though there are certain anime I am positive she would love. Because she doesn't want to read subtitles. She's like, I can't watch that because I'm watching the subtitles, not the anime. I'm like, you can do both.
It's not at first maybe
it's
you
not
can,
hard.
Yeah. And I know you don't read the fastest either, so.
Yeah, I don't read that fast, but I read fast enough, and if I don't catch something, I'll click 5 seconds back, finish reading the line, and then keep going.
But then who doesn't do that?
If I'm not fast enough, then there's a pause. But, some people just don't want to be taken out of that experience. And I don't know this to be true. This is just speculation on my part. I think that it might be a generational thing.
Yeah?
Focus it in on just Ultraman. Let's just talk about Ultraman for a second. It might just be a generational thing for Ultraman, because there's a lot of fans who've been crying out, not like boohoo, crying out for the subs of the dubs of the original Ultraman series that aired back then. So they might just feel nostalgic for the dub because that's how they saw it first.
Oh, I see. Yeah, maybe
So,
because they want it how it was the first time they experienced it.
right. And us growing up in the Toonami anime
I don't know
era.
if including Toonami is the best way to go because Toonami's always been dubbed.
Yes, but let me get there first.
Oh, sure.
What I mean is we grew up in an era where anime was readily available to us. So when we saw, even if it was just the dubs of like Dragon Ball Z or whatever on
Right.
Toonami, you could go and find the subs for other shows. So subs and dubs, while being that age-old
Controversy.
argument,
Yeah, the controversy. Like, what side are you on?
right? But for me, what I'm thinking is, since we got into newer tokusatsu, that none of them, with the exception of the Geed and X movies, and one of the Zero movies for some reason has dub versions. With the exception of those, we got into tokusatsu when there were no dubs, so that's the way we like it. We don't want dubs, we want the subs because that's just the way it's been presented to us. And I'm wondering if this is like a generational thing where people who grew up with the original 66 Ultraman on the air, they want it dubbed because that was the way they grew up with it.
Yeah, when you present it that way, I guess I can see that. Because it's like they want it how they had it.
And like I said, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just this is purely speculation. I wonder if this has anything to do with it.
I mean, you definitely bring a good point. It's definitely something I didn't consider before at all. About
Right.
like, people watching is like, well, for some reason, I don't know. It's really easy to tunnel vision about you being the only person who cares. And then, like, even if you expand that out a bit, it's like people in your immediate vicinity or, pool.
Yeah.
Like everybody, usually if you're like in like one little microcosm, you're going to have mostly the same views, opinions. Like, even if they're different, they're still mostly the same. It's like, it's 5 different types of lettuce, but it's all still lettuce,
It's really easy to get put in a silo or build your own echo chamber in your own little bubble on your part of the internet.
Exactly.
It's really easy to just kind of surround yourselves with people who agree with you, as opposed to trying to find people who have different opinions. And it's kind of difficult to do the opposite, So I really try to find people who have different opinions than me, to hear their side of the point.
If you want to find somebody, if you want to find somebody who has a different opinion than you, just post your opinion on Twitter. You'll find somebody.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, without people attacking you for having the wrong opinion,
quote unquote. Yeah, I know. I know what you mean. It's just a joke.
Yeah. So go to ultraconnection.com and make a free account, and then you can go see that stuff.
Hashtag not an ad.
Yeah, hashtag not an ad. But I've watched the first 7 episodes of Sevengar Fight. I have not watched the director's cuts. And Sevengar Fight is exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's silly to the utmost, and it's really fun because of how kind of dumb it is. So give it a watch. It's not long. You can get through it real quick, and it's just fun. Anyway, moving on. Our next topic is very related to this. November 18th, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is their next stream, but this one's going to be a paid stream. Apparently it's going to celebrate Dinah and Gaia, because their releases through Mill Creek is coming out next month.
They
and
already
the month
did Tiga, so they can't lump them all together.
Right. So the next two. But apparently they're going to show a canonical animation. Their description, not mine. Canonical animation will be shown. So I don't know what that means. It sounds like cartoon to me.
It's gonna be something, or it's all CGI. Cause that's still a cartoon.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. I'm just really curious. The only reason why I'm bringing it up is if you like those, go support it. I personally, like, while I like these guys and while I like what they're doing and while I understand why it has to be paid, I don't like paid streams, period. And I don't like supporting paid streams, period.
It's like one of those things like you understand, but like I'm living in a budget. I can't afford to do this.
Exactly. And I completely understand why they have to do paid stream because of the costs that go into producing something like this, especially when they get like actors to where they can do Q&As with the actors. The actors have to be compensated for their time. I understand it completely. Paid streams are not for me. And if they're going to do a free one, I'll join in if I can. But I personally, there's no hate towards it. It's just, as you said, working within a budget here, can't really do it. So, but I'll be paying attention to what news drops because I'm sure it'll hit Twitter in 2 seconds after it. Anyway, next item. Ultraman partnered with a shoe brand.
I mean, it was more than just Ultraman.
Well, do you want to go on about the Kamen Rider shoes first?
I mean, Kamen Rider, Gundam, Ultraman, they all had shoe brand deals. None of them look good except for the Ultraman ones, though.
Well, yes, and the Kamen Rider ones are like designer brand shoes.
Yeah.
Like what you would get, what like sneakerheads would search for. You know what I mean?
Right.
While I'm not a sneakerhead, I understand that mentality because I'm a tokusatsu collector. So I understand that mentality of sneakerheads, but I just can't. I don't care about shoes. I have a pair of shoes that I wear till they fall apart, then I get another pair.
Same.
Anyway, while the Kamen Rider shoes look like designer shoes, the Ultraman shoes, they partnered with a brand called Koshin Rubber Safety Sneakers. And I looked at them, and these are like work shoes, man.
Yeah.
These are like the non-slip surface shoes. If you've ever worked at a fast food restaurant and you had to get those non-slick shoes,
right,
with the surface on the bottom, that's what these are. And they have like these bungee straps instead of laces. Like these are just straight up work shoes.
Yeah, I will say this: though, as far as like the other ones go, the designer ones for the Rider, the Forze ones actually look nice.
The O's ones, in my opinion, look nice. But I do not like the X-Aid ones, and the double ones are neat in concept, but the nature of double is he's one color on one side and one color on the other. Having non-asymmetric shoes just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway, these Ultraman shoes look real cool. I was even contemplating getting them, but I looked into it. By the way, they're only like $45 on Amazon Japan.
Yeah, but getting the right size.
Well, that's the problem. The highest size is an American 11, which for a lot of you that's probably cool. But I'm rocking 13s.
Yeah.
So I can't wear those.
Big dude. I could wear them.
Yeah, you could.
I mean, barely, but I could wear them.
They're really not that expensive for shoes. Well, I have to pay a lot of money for my shoes because once you get like past 11 or 12, they charge you more for the shoe because it's more material and they're a lot bigger. So I have to dish out a lot for shoes. That's probably why I'm not a sneakerhead, to be honest with you.
You know what? I think we found the problem. I'm not, because of all the things I would like to collect, like, I don't even care about the shoes I'm wearing now.
Well, when I get a pair of shoes, I'm like, oh, those look nice. I would like to wear those, but that's about as far as it gets to.
I don't know. For me, shoes are a 100% practicality. Like, are they comfortable?
Right.
Can I run in these? Or
yeah. Okay. I think we've burned that one out.
Okay.
Then before we move into our bigger topic, I wanted to mention that I watched the first episode of the Ultraman 80 set, The Ultraman, which is the 79 anime, and Ultraman Tiga, which were the most recent 3 releases, and they're all DVD. These are the first ones that have become DVD instead of Blu-ray. And basically they're going to be DVD from here on out because we're entering the era where it was shot on video and there's not HD remasters or transfers available at this time. Case by case scenario, there are some of these that will have HD transfers, but Mill Creek doesn't have the right to the HD transfer yet because Subaraya likes to do their Japanese set first, get what they can out of that, and then let Mill Creek do their release, because we've talked about this before, but how Japanese consumers are importing the American releases because of how cheap they are.
Right, and I don't want to have the Americans come first, so they'll just never buy the Japanese ones.
Exactly. So that's kind of what we're working with here. So we're working with DVD here next for a little while. And personally, I didn't see a problem with them at all. Like, they looked good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, everybody is like all on the, oh yeah, Blu-rays are such a big boon to DVD and filmography and all that. And I mean, Blu-rays are nice, and you can, in theory, get like better picture and stuff. But here's the thing about like a lot of this old tech being upscaled to it. There's a point like you're not gonna see any difference because just the material at the time wasn't created using modern implements, so it's just not going to be the same quality. Which, not saying it's going to be a bad quality, but it's like, yeah, why is there really going to be a difference?
Yeah, and exactly. For one, the Showa stuff were filmed on film, or yeah, on film, so they could do the HD upscales. But for like Tiga and stuff, they were shot on video, which it's a lot harder. It's possible to do those upscales, but it's a lot more labor intensive and cost intensive, etc. And for example, I'm not a Star Trek guy in general, but with the Star Trek original series, they upscaled it so much that it started taking that the fans said that it took them out of it because they could see the duct tape. They could see the wood grain on this thing that's supposed to be metallic. Because it was filmed with you not being able to see those details in mind, so it kind of hides it a little bit better. But once you take a lot of that out, it kind of takes you out of it because you can really see the cracks, you know?
Yeah, it's like so sometimes you don't need to put your glasses on when you're going on a blind date, right?
I've never heard that before.
I just made it up.
Oh, well, it sounds like it could be a saying.
I'm starting it. Let's go.
Yeah. Hashtag don't put glasses on for a blind date. Anyway, it looks good. These releases look good. and I don't know how much better you would want it to look. I'm sure if you had an HD version side by side with this version, and I was looking at it, I could pick out, oh, this looks crisper, this looks better, this is less grainy.
Well,
but if you just give me the box set and say, here's Tiga, here, watch Tiga, it looks good. I don't see what all the complaining's about.
yeah, I get you. I mean, I remember watching the first few episodes of the original Ultra show. Let's say anime, but like the original Ultraman, and I was like, maybe I don't want to see how bad this first cast of the mask was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially the first, like, what was it, 12, 13 episodes when he
It was
still
quite a few.
Yeah, it looks bad.
Especially like the transformation sequence where he's getting bigger.
Yeah, I think a little bit of the film grain kind of helps hide the duct taped corners a little bit better.
Not to say the original is bad or anything, but like
no. I actually really enjoyed the original, and we're gonna do a whole episode on it whenever we can. But
right, very endearing. I need to finish the show first, but we're gonna have to figure out how to do that. And you gonna tell them why, guy?
Yeah, great transition into the next topic. So, our last episode, we kind of speculated with the upcoming releases not putting the MovieSpree codes in it. I was like, everyone's telling me, oh no, it's just for these releases, but it feels like the writing's on the wall for this app to be dead here quickly. And I was right.
Unfortunately, fortunately so. I mean,
it feels good to be right, but I don't want to be right about this topic.
I mean, it wasn't a great service, but it was all we had.
Yeah, so starting October 1st, the app is no longer supported. The MovieSpree app we're speaking of. So this is why they haven't put new codes in the newer releases, is because they wanted to cut that flow off right there, because they were going to basically be doing away with this.
It got the axe.
Yeah. And I was talking to you before this. I was like, does this mean we can still use the app? They're just not going to send updates to it? Because some applications and some games and stuff like that, when companies say we're not going to support it after X date, if you still have it, you could still use it, but they're not pushing. If there's any bugs, they're not going to fix it. They're not going to support it. They're not going to come out with new content.
Right, and at the time, I was like, well, we'll probably still be able to do it until it just becomes incompatible. But at the time, I hadn't considered the fact that it's a streaming app, which means that there are servers that they're just not going to be using anymore. So the app's just going to not have anything in it.
Yeah, so they flipped the switch on October 1st. The app doesn't work. Period.
Well, you can boot it up, and it tells you it doesn't work.
Yeah, but within it, it says you can still watch the shows you've already had. So this was another concern we had. Is like, what happens to the digital library we already have accumulated? Is that just gone now? Well, if you ask Mill Creek, they say no. You can go to www.moviespree.com and log in there and still be able to watch your library. I don't know if that's true, because I've been locked out of my account. Basically, when I went to do that, I typed in my password, and it said, password is expired. So I'm like, that's weird. Maybe it's a glitch because of all this stuff's going on. So I gave it a few days, and it still said password expired. So I'm like, well, let me change my password. And I go to change my password, and basically I'm getting a email loop where it says, click this link to change your password, but the email doesn't have a password. The email doesn't have a link.
What? You didn't tell me that part.
Well, yeah. So
That's weird. Okay, because I know like with some of that stuff, I was like, well, I know sometimes it might be a mobile versus desktop thing, but if it doesn't have a link in it at all, that's concerning.
Yeah, so I'm completely locked out the account. I'm going to contact Mill Creek soon and see if I can't get it fixed or whatever. But I don't know what it looks like on that end once they shut down the app. I don't know what to do, and I don't know exactly how well it's going to work and how long it's going to work for. They've said that they plan on bringing more changes, that this is just the first wave of changes or whatever. So I don't know what that means.
Yeah, maybe it's just some server side trouble. I don't know. It's hard to say and speculate on what they're going to do because we just don't know.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to get any answers from them right now because they're just because so many people are upset and many people are just like annoyed by this. They're getting inundated with responses, and all they're doing is sending you a non-helpful blanket statement of basically we're undergoing changes, blah blah blah, you know.
Yeah, they're sending you the puppy in the construction hat saying we're working on it.
Yeah, so we'll see how this pans out. Maybe I can get back into it and give you an update on the next time, but I don't know.
But for now, we have no idea. It's down. We can't get into it. We'll let you know.
Yeah.
But
So a little more happy topic before we get into some more sad topics.
Yeah.
The third part of the Ultraman comic is set to be released in early 2022, and it's going to be focusing on Ultraseven. It's entitled The Mystery of Ultraseven.
Ooh.
So what I've really liked about this Marvel Ultraman book is it's not a ongoing series. It's a series of miniseries. So the rise, or not rise, is it right? Yeah, the Rise of Ultraman, isn't it called? The first one is Rise.
The Rise of Ultraman? I think so.
Yeah. So the Rise of Ultraman is a 5-part miniseries, and then the second part is Trials of the Ultraman, which I was thinking, okay, this is just a 5-part miniseries, and then we're switching to the ongoing. No, Trials was also a 5-part miniseries, and then we're doing the sequel, Mystery of Ultraman, the Mystery of Ultraseven, and this is also going to be a 5-part miniseries. So they're really just kind of taking these little mini spots, so it's enough content for a trade paperback, and it's like trade paperback 1, trade paperback 2, trade paperback 3, which is kind of how comics are being written these days anyway, where they do a story arc that's basically spans 5 to 8 issues, and then that's collected as a trade paperback or hardback, and that's kind of how comics have been formatted for probably the past 20-30 years.
Yeah. So I don't know a lot about comics. So.
Oh, you don't?
Not really. I mean, I've never actually read comics except for online, digitally.
Oh, I did not know that. I was pretty heavy into comics for a few years there. What was it? Probably 2011 through 14 or 15, something like that. I was pretty heavy into reading comics, but I mainly only read trade paperbacks because it was the cheapest and the easiest way to collect. I didn't really like collecting books week to week, but the problem with that is the week to week sales are how they gauge if the book is doing well or not. So if you're not buying it week to week, the company's like, oh, this book isn't selling, so they cancel it, even though you were just waiting for the trade paperback. So that's why I jumped in on buying the singles when the Ultraman book came out, because if you don't buy the singles, then they're like, oh, this is a failure, we're going to cancel it.
Right, but we didn't do that with the second series, though, because of injury.
Well, I mean, I still bought the single issues.
Did you?
But, yeah, I had the guy hold them for me.
Oh.
I picked them up a week or two ago, whenever I finally could move.
Yeah, I haven't read the sequel series at all, because usually I just bum them off you.
Yeah, I read the first few issues. I didn't finish it out. When I go to read it, I'm gonna reread the first one and then read the second one into it to see how it flows together.
Right.
And it's been so long, I've pretty much forgot what happened, so I need to reread them anyway, just to know what's going on in the last few issues. Anyway, that's exciting. I'm excited about that. Marvel's been kind of killing it with this Ultraman book. And by Marvel, I mean Kyle Higgins, who is responsible for making the really, really good Power Ranger comics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I have a lot of faith in the writing of Kyle Higgins. So I'm excited to see where this goes. Now we have a few bits of sad news. Masanari Nihei is his name, who played Ide in the original 1966 Ultraman series.
Mm-hmm.
He passed away August 24th at the age of 80. So that's kind of a bummer.
Oh, man.
There was a lot of nice, I guess, memorial tweets or whatever, I guess is what you could put out. But there was a lot of nice things said about him when around that time a lot of articles were being written about his contributions to Ultraman and other series. Like I think he was in a few Godzilla movies as well, and there was a lot of people who were close to him saying really kind things about him. People who have met him were retelling the stories about him, and he was just a lovely guy. So that's kind of sad. He'll be missed.
Right.
And on the same vein, there was also another sad passing. Toshihiro Iijima is his name. He died October 17th at the age of 89. He was a writer, producer, and a director for a lot of the earlier Showa era Ultraman series. He worked on Ultra Q, worked on the regular Ultraman, the original Ultraman. He also worked on Ultraseven and had some work producing in Return of Ultraman. And later on, through the years, he would come back and do guest.
So big shot in producing Ultra.
Yeah, producing, directing. He did a lot of the writing. He did a lot of work on those early Showa series. So same thing happened. It was great. A lot of people really poured out their stories about him. Not so much. I don't know if he made a whole lot more. Not as much as, since Ide was an actor, he would do a lot more fan kind of meeting fans and stuff like that. This gentleman, he didn't do as much of that, so there was a little bit of less of that, but he will be missed. And then we have one more death that's notable. How to say this? You never want to be happy of someone's passing. It's always sad to hear someone passing, but there's levels of mourning that you would do where if someone has had a major impact on you and was important to you, or you knew them personally, you would go through a lot amount of grief. And if there was somebody that either had a negative impact on you or something like that, you would grieve a lot less, you know?
Right.
So I would never say I'm happy someone passed away, because it always hurts the people that was around them, you know? I feel sorry for this person's family, the people they were closest to. They will be missed in their circles, you know? But personally, I'm not going to grieve this gentleman, period. Sompote Sands of Chaiyo passed away August 21st, also at age of 80. And we'll do a whole episode. It's going to be a lot of work on that whole thing, but this is the gentleman that was behind the whole Chaiyo lawsuit that basically held back Super Raya Productions from expanding into the West for decades until here recently. So that's newsworthy, and I have to do a lot of research on that. I've heard stories and I've heard podcasts and I've read articles and stuff like that about the whole Chaiyo lawsuit, but for me to actually speak on it, I need to do a lot more research. So once I do that research, I want to do that episode. But there, like I said, he will be missed. There are people who will miss him, who he was close to, and I feel for those individuals who were close to him, who might have lost a brother or a friend or a parent. My heart goes out to those individuals, but that being said,
yeah.
I think I danced around that as best as I could.
I mean, he definitely only negatively impacted our lives, but still, it's in bad taste to wish people ill. So
yeah, and I don't wish anyone ill in any way, or nor will I celebrate someone's passing. It's just, this is one of those touchy subjects that you kind of have to.
We're acknowledging it. It happened. We're moving on now.
Yeah.
So
I think that's
so. Speaking of moving on, here's some good news. You know.
Yeah.
So this is one I actually was able to bring to your attention because I had been seeing stuff about it on Twitter. So Ryosuke Sakamoto, who is the Red Ranger from Bioman, he a couple years ago, I think in 2016 actually, he was diagnosed with cancer, esophageal cancer, I think, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And here in like the last few weeks, even he came out and said that he is now cancer free. He beat cancer, everybody.
And that's great.
Yeah.
Cancer sucks, man. I personally haven't had anyone have cancer in my immediate life, but I have seen the impact cancer has on others' lives.
Yeah,
and
I had a great aunt die from it, so. And also, well, she's not related, so technically not immediate family, but yeah, I've seen people I know, you know, be affected directly by cancer, so it's one of the worst things in this world, I think.
Yeah. It sucks.
But
but this is cause for celebration, you know. It's great when somebody can beat this, you know.
Yeah, and esophageal cancer too, like that's one that can like really mess you up like overall, because especially well, I guess it doesn't matter so much for this guy acting anymore, because I feel like he's probably, do we know how old he is?
No, but he was up there.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably not, you know, making money off his voice anymore, so I guess that it's one of those things like silver lining, but that's a really tongue-in-cheek way to say that, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, more importantly, he beat cancer. He's good. He's doing good now. And, you know, way to go, my guy. Like, glad to hear it. Congratulations to you and your family. Really, really happy for you.
Yeah. Absolutely glad that he was able to beat that. You know, it's it's a joyous, momentous occasion whenever anyone can beat cancer, because it takes so many lives every year. It's something to be celebrated, and we're happy that he's healthy and feeling better, and yeah. So that's really all I got to say about that. Another topic. It's gonna be kind of a jarring switch. But the Ten Gokaiger movie,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically a 10th anniversary celebration of the Gokaigers. As you know, I don't know how much our listeners know about Gokaiger. If you know anything about Sentai, you probably know something about Gokaiger, because it's extremely popular.
Gokaiger is the decade of that, and I guess the well, there's not really an exact juxtaposition for Ultra. I mean, because a lot of them these days use the same powers.
Yeah, I was about to say, you could probably just say the new generation
heroes. So, like, I guess for the people who only watch Ultra and don't watch, like, Rider or Sentai, which I feel like it's a weird statement on its own, right? Because I feel like the other two are much more popular, but they definitely exist. So, a lot of the new generation heroes, more so starting with, I want to say Orb was really the first one to do it.
Well, hold on. Let me go back a second. You say that, but there are tons of people who only watch Ultra who don't like Kamen Rider or Super Sentai, because they got into Ultra from coming in from Godzilla. So they liked Godzilla films, and they touched their toe into Ultraman, and they like that. But they don't like Super Sentai or Kamen Rider because of various reasons. One might be that they don't really do miniature work like Tsuburaya and Toho do.
Yeah, yeah, and to an extent in the new season, I'm not exactly happy with, but we might bring that up at the end if you want to talk about that.
What are you talking about? You talking about Trigger?
I'm not talking about Trigger. I'm talking about Zenkaiger.
Oh,
they've they use a bit too much CGI for my liking, and we can go into that if you'd like.
Yeah, maybe at the end.
Maybe at the end, okay.
But yeah, I'm not a fan of Sentai and Rider CGI. Period. Anyway, Ten Gokaiger. So they were the 35th anniversary series. Zenkaiger, the current series, is the 45th. That's been 10 years ago. This is the 10th anniversary film. The math adds up.
All right.
But one cool thing they announced that I was super excited for is, for this film, they're doing a updated version of the Super Sentai Hero Getter song. Now, this was the ending theme for Gokaiger, where they did a song where they did a line about every Super Sentai series up to that point. So it was they mentioned all 35 of, at that time, Super Sentai series, and then the year later for Gokaiger, they did a Gokaiger remix where they took the same song and mixed in Gokaiger songs, or not Gokaiger, Go Buster songs in it, and
okay, it was
added an additional Go Busters line in the song.
I see. So just seeing where this is going. So they're gonna do a remix that catches them back up to 45.
Yep. Also for the 40th anniversary, which was during Zyuohger, the Gokaigers showed up for a 2-part special in there, and in that special they did another update where it was the 40 currently. So the fact that we're getting another update that has all 45, I just love this, man.
This song's gonna get longer and longer, isn't it?
I just want them to continue to do this forever.
I wonder how long they'll make the song. The song is now 5 hours because there's 500 Sentai. Ah!
It would be like if the Pokerap kept updating every year, and then it's just like a 30-minute song.
Oh gosh, do you know how many Pokemon there are now?
Almost 1,000.
Well, almost in the sense that is true. You could definitely round up to it, but it's a lot further away than I thought. Like, they're still in like the 800s, I think. like low 800s too.
The thing is it feels like they're afraid to hit that 1,000 mark because they're doing variant forms of current ones or previous ones. So they don't add to that total, but if you want to think of it as it, then they did.
Well, but here's the thing: you say that, but at the same time, now, like at first, it was just variant forms and variant evolution forms, but in Sword and Shield, they started doing variant regionals. But then, like the regional variants would have different evolution paths.
Right.
Like and heck, even in Arceus, they've already announced that there's going to be like one of the Hisuian things has like an ancient form because there's like a new form of Scyther now that's like a brick.
Right. So those count towards new Pokemon,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as their numbering system, the variant versions don't count towards that thing. So if you count the variants, we've probably gotten really close to or past 1,000, but as official number, they haven't gotten there. But anyway, that's a tangent. We need to.
Yeah, that's not even Sentai or not Sentai. Toku.
Right. We tend to get on tangents a lot here.
It's what you do. We're talking here for an hour, like just each other, just a regular stuff. This is what we care about.
Yep, tangents are part of our brand. That's just what we do here.
We're gonna rebrand ourselves to A to Tangent.
Nah, I don't like that. We'll stay. We'll stay what we are now.
Oh, wait, A to Zett, a Tangent podcast.
That's probably. Yeah. Anyway, next topic. There's a Sentai adjacent show going on now. I haven't watched it.
I have not seen it either, and I've heard only good things.
I've heard a lot of good things about this show.
Mm-hmm.
It's called High School Heroes, and it's basically a Sentai-esque tokusatsu, and it's made joint with Toei, so it's officially licensed. And Johnny. Now, that name might sound familiar, and Ultraman fans be like, "Oh, whoa, be careful," because that was the whole debacle for the Tiga problems, with the song "Take Me Higher" and the actor likenesses, and basically why we're shocked that this Tiga box set got made in general. Johnny are the people who are responsible for that. Basically, it's a team made up of current J-pop singers, and the rough premise is they're high schoolers, and the lead guy is super into Go Ranger, which was the first Super Sentai series, and somehow they end up getting wrapped up with a bunch of demons and they have to fight. The generic Toku, and now this is happening. Nonsense.
Demons! Ooh, there's a lot of demons going around right now.
Yeah, so it's an interesting concept. I've heard a lot of good things about it. There's no official way of watching this, so to ascertain the way you would watch that, I'm not going to say it, but you can find it.
I mean, there are ways. Always support the official release if it's available.
Right. If there is one, which there is not for this.
So, it's fine. Just go watch it. I'm not saying how to watch it, but you definitely should. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I'll probably eventually get to it. I've heard really good things and I want to see it, but time just doesn't exist anymore. We're in this weird time loop vortex where everything is going by way faster than we expect, but yet there's also it's dragging at the same time. You know what I mean?
No. Because my life is currently in a vortex of everything is screaming and on fire, and I'm just trying to keep up.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm not gonna get into it, but yeah. I feel you.
I mean,
let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's
But
move on.
Kamen Rider news. Shin Kamen Rider's promo is super revealed, right? And we
Yep.
also know who's gonna be the boy.
Yep.
Yeah.
A gentleman named Ryosuke Ikematsu has been cast as Ichigo, and then a female lead named Minami Hamabe has been cast as Ruriko Midorikawa. That's the character name. I haven't seen but maybe the first 2 episodes of the original Kamen Rider, so I don't know this character's name.
Well, you've seen more than I've seen.
Yeah, so I don't. It's basically the female lead. She's the female lead, and then this guy's Ichigo. Do you want to share that anecdote about the Ichigo actor?
Oh, yeah. I was like, what do you mean? So, this guy's really embodying the spirit of Ichigo because, this had to be like a month ago. Like, I saw a picture of the guy. Apparently, the guy, broke his foot on set. So, and if you don't know, the original Ichigo, the whole reason they even did Nigo to begin with was because, the actor for Ichigo was also the suit actor. And he broke his leg doing a motorcycle stunt. And that's why the riders aren't allowed to do their own stunts anymore. And
Yep.
and this guy, here he goes, playing Ichigo, and he broke his foot too. And I was like, dang, this guy really is embodying the spirit of Ichigo, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I mean, it's not funny that he broke his foot. It's just ironic that it happened.
It's not funny that he broke his foot, but the situation itself is hilarious.
Yeah.
It's one of those things
situational comedy.
Yeah, you can look back on it and laugh, but it's sad in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Also, we found out we've known that Shout Factory is going to do a physical release of Kamen Rider 01, but we didn't know any details about it, really. Well, a few days ago, on Shout Factory's website, the product listing showed up. Now, as of this recording, you can't physically pre-order it yet, but it has given a lot of insights that we did not know yet. So, first off, it's going to be a Blu-ray set. We didn't know if it was going to be Blu-ray or DVD. We assumed it would be Blu-ray, given that it was a show from 2 years ago, and it was filmed in HD. So we assumed it would be Blu-ray, but that doesn't necessarily mean they didn't want to do DVD to cut costs down. Well, we know it's Blu-ray, and we also know that it's the full series as well as the movie. Now, it just says series plus movie. I don't know which movie it is, because I think there was a few.
It's probably the movie, if I had to guess, that happened post-show, where, like, some of the the characters actually got, like, new forms, and they introduced a new, like, villain and all that.
Right.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of important plot that happens in that movie as far as, like, you know, post-show, but the mid-season show or movie that they had wasn't that impactful, if I remember.
Yeah, I don't know which movie it is, but there's been a lot, and then they also do a lot of those Visa Next things, is what they call them. The direct-to-DVD kind of things that usually come with a gimmick item.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of those, so I know there's at least a couple of those. I don't know if they're out yet, but
I was really sad that I couldn't get the one for X-Aid that came with the Gim Maximum Mighty version.
Oh, okay.
Because I really, really want it. It was like level 9 billion God Gamer or something.
Yeah.
I really wanted that one. And apparently there's a stage show for him. I didn't even know. He has his own invincibility, like Hyper Muteki form too. I didn't even know that.
I've seen a photo of it before, but
but it was a stage show only. I don't even know if they've made a Hyper Muteki. for him as like something that you can get in some form or way?
Well, I think Hyper Muteki never even got its figure art released, the regular one. I think there's a couple final forms for riders that never got a figure arts release. I don't collect figure arts, but I know people who do. And every now and then you see people complaining like, "Oh, they can get to this not obscure character, but they still can't give fill in the blank his final form." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah, so anyway, we also know that, well, the date could be wrong. It's a listing, so it could be delayed, it could be earlier, but the
Could just be a
list date
placeholder.
it could be a placeholder, but the street date on there is for January 25th. So it's right around the corner if that is the correct date. And we also know that it's going to be $60, which is about what I expected.
It's not terrible for Blu-ray. Not great, but not terrible.
I saw people on Twitter expecting it to be like $300. I'm like, what, are you crazy? They're like, well, if you take one Blu-ray and one Blu-ray is $20 times X amount, if they put X amount of things on a show, that's not how they do sets. Like, it's not going to be $300. If it's going to be $300 if it's a Japanese set in Japan, but no person in their right mind is going to spend $300 in America, especially on this. And this is kind of a gamble in general because they don't know. This is the first Kamen Rider series that's had a physical release. So this is a gamble in itself.
Honestly, you know how I feel about 01. I loved it. I thought it was a great show, and its shortcomings I feel like are all due to COVID and them having to like rush filming schedule and like cutting out episodes. But I don't know if this was the best show to do this with.
I completely agree.
Especially since so many people are still raving about Build, and Build was relatively recently.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I was about to say I think Build would have been a safer option.
Like, honestly, I think, now this might sound sacrilegious to some people because I actually like 01 more than Build. I thought Build was good, don't get me wrong. I just like 01 more. I think I just like the suit more. Maybe that's it. But so for me this is fine, but I still can definitely recognize Build was the better choice.
Yeah. So obviously they have market data for how well the Subaraya Productions, Ultraman, Mill Creek sets have done. Well, I don't think Shout Factory has access to the numbers, but they can see as much as we can see that it's been a success.
Right.
So this could give them a better, what's the word I'm looking for? Like
insight?
Yeah, that'll work. It could give them insight on kind of making them feel better that this might do better. I'm losing the words of what I'm trying to say here. Maybe
perspective?
Maybe. Anyway, it's not important. But basically, I agree that I don't think this was probably the best series to start with. But, and I've only seen maybe the first like 10 episodes of 01.
Mm-hmm.
Around the time the pandemic hit, I kind of stopped watching everything. And there's a lot of things I never caught back up with. That being one of them.
I gotcha. I mean, that caused me to stop watching Ryu Soldier, and I didn't even watch the gym one. What was the gym one that came in between?
Cure Major?
Cure Major, yeah.
I stopped watching Ryu Soldier for a different reason than that. And I started watching Cure Major, and I maybe got 5 episodes in, and I stopped watching because of the pandemic for that one.
Yeah, and I never even touched Cure Major. No real reason for it. I just didn't. But I did watch the Zenkaiger. Or I am watching that one. It's really good. You know.
Dude, I want to watch Gokaiger, and that was one that I was on board with,
Yeah.
and around the time of Two Kaisers showing up, I got busy with something, or I don't exactly know how that lined up, but I got really behind and I haven't caught back up. And that's one show I actually want to watch because it's really fun.
It's really fun, and it actually has a decent plot.
Yeah, I really like it. And I think it'll be a little bit easier for me to go back to once kind of things settle down a little bit, but that's definitely one I want to get back to. But I want to get back on this price thing. So $60.
Mm-hmm.
It's not terrible. And excuse me. The Ultraman sets are usually about $30 a piece. And if we're not including the Showa, because the Showa ones, the early ones were like 39, 28, and then it started to get to like 50, a little bit more than 50. So a lot of the Showa ones were 50 episodes, but all of the newer ones are like 20 to 25. So thinking, oh, this is a show that's Blu-ray, about 25 episodes, and it's about $30 ish. Doubling that would be a pretty comparable 60 at the 50 something episodes that Kamen Rider usually is. And I also think that Shout Factory's deal with Toei might be a little bit more in Toei's favor. So they might have to charge more for licensing.
Right, I gotcha.
It's like, I'm going to dip into something real quick. It's like why Star Wars toys or Marvel toys might cost more than G.I. Joe or Power Ranger toys, because Disney gets a cut of that, while
Yeah.
Hasbro owns G.I. Joe and now they own Power Rangers. So
Yeah. So
they'll
like,
have to pay licensing fees for that.
yes, those sweet, sweet royalties.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm comparing it to. Obviously, Mill Creek doesn't own Ultraman or Subaraya, but Subaraya has been wanting to get it to a Western audience so much more. I would not be shocked if they took a little less on the deal just so that it could get out there. While I think Toei still, they see the potential of the market, but Toei is always so slow to do any kind of business decision.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they adjust to the market extremely slowly. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were demanding a higher cut from Shout Factory. I don't know this to be true. This is purely speculation on my part, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to know, behind the scenes on this stuff sometimes, but
That's
that's
about
like
all I've got on that. You got anything else?
that's like the most logical reasoning. I don't know. Do we want to go into that thing I was talking about with CG, or do we want to just not talk about that?
Let me hit on this real quick. I wanted to mention one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Back when we were talking about the High School Heroes thing with Toei and Johnny working together,
Oh,
it reminded me that I forgot to mention on the Tiga Blu-ray set, or sorry, the Tiga DVD set, the theme song is not Take Me Higher. Apparently, part of the way they were able to release this is by not including that song, which a lot of people are upset by, but I get it. If you really want to hear that song, just look, I've got a perfect fix for you. If this bothers you so much that you won't buy the set because it doesn't have the right theme song on it, what you need to do is you need to open up YouTube, find the opening, mute your TV, and play that for a minute to make yourself feel better, okay? It's not that big of a deal.
Wow. Dang, calling these people out. Tell them just
really
just play a YouTube video. It's the same thing.
It's really not that big of a deal. I love the song as much as everyone else does. It's a really good song. But if that was the sticking point that kept us from getting this set, then I would say don't include it, because I haven't seen Tiga and I want to see Tiga. And this is a great way to see Tiga. And we've been clamoring for it for so long. I mean, I'm willing to make that compromise. So if the theme song really bothers you that much, just mute it to the theme song. It's not that great of a song. I'll give you that. It's not a good replacement, but what can you do?
I thought you were about to say the old song wasn't that great of a song. It's like, that's a spicy take.
No, Take Me Higher is a really good song.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was if the reason for us being able to get this was they didn't include that song, then that's a sacrifice. I'm glad that happened, because I want to be able to watch the show. And hopefully, if there's a Blu-ray set eventually, then maybe they'll be able to get the right theme song for that. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see.
Maybe it'll do well enough where they can afford it. Maybe.
But we'll see. Anyway, I was reminded by that, and it sounded like you were also reminded by something else when I brought up the High School Heroes thing.
There's a lot of cameos for actors in that show.
In that show?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Like, I don't know any specific examples, because, man, I'm bad at remembering names, but
yeah.
I've seen where there's been a lot of cameos in it, so...
I'm bad at remembering English names, much less Japanese names.
Well, I didn't plan on us talking about High School Heroes today, so I didn't write down anything.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
But
well, a little behind the curtain here. I don't tell him what these topics are.
No, he does not, because I like just almost finding out this news the same time you guys do. You know.
And I might tell him the news as it happens. Like, oh, did you see this? Oh, yeah, that's cool. But he, with his short attention span, he forgets the news by the time we get around to filming the episode. So it's like you hear it again for the first time.
Wow, calling me out. How dare you? I mean, you're not wrong, but still.
It's like you hear it again for the first time.
Yeah, it's like it's a whole new news segment for me.
Right. So I usually don't tell him ahead of time, oh, this is what we've got going on. Because giving his reaction on the podcast is a little bit more valuable than that, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's all I am to Gaim. I'm just product placement.
Product placement?
I don't know. That's not the right word, but it's all I could think of.
Oh. Nah, you're great, man. I couldn't do this without you.
I know, I'm your editor.
Well, I meant not just tech-wise. I couldn't do this show without you.
Yeah,
I need your energy to bounce off of.
I know what you mean, dude.
Right.
I just had to have a bit of a slapback.
Okay, I mean that's fair. If you want to quickly talk about that Zenkaiger thing that we were talking about for a minute, and then we'll head on.
Yeah, so we were talking about earlier the old generation of people watching Toku versus the new generation, and people only watching Ultra because they don't vibe with Sentai and Rider. And how like we hate, well, you particularly hate the CGI, and I think it has good moments and bad moments personally, and it's somewhat getting better. Like, for example, in Revice, they have done a lot of CGI stuff, and you can tell it's improving, like they're learning, and it's getting better. It's still not great. I would rather them leave it than, have them use it, but I can definitely say it's improving, and it's getting better. That being said, I guess this is kind of a big spoiler for Zenkiger. So if
I'm fine. Go ahead.
well, I know you already know, so I'm warning everybody listening, that you may. This is probably gonna be the rest of what we're talking about. So I don't know if just you can stop listening here. I don't want to say that, but
I mean, it's pretty much what we're going.
Yeah,
with.
this is what we're closing with. So just a heads up. And this isn't even really a spoiler. I guess like if you keep up with toy stands or like toy releases, you even know this thing exists. But more or less, the final mech for the show doesn't have a suit. Like,
yeah.
The segments are all CGI. Like versus the enemies, the stage. It's all just computer generated, and it doesn't look good to me. I don't like it.
I don't like it either, but I'll tell you that's not new. For a lot of the final combinations, they've done CGI work for many years, like Lupin Ranger versus Pato Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
The something VS, whatever they called the combination.
Yeah.
Good Striker VS something. I don't remember what they called it, but that was completely CGI. I don't think Ryu Soldier was, because they did their whole thing where they could do a suit. That was like the big thing, was they were able to do the
Wait,
suits.
I thought they had a suit for Zenkai, or not Zenkai, Lupin v Pat.
I remember it being only only CG, but if you can find a picture of the suit, I'll recant that. But I was under the impression that was the case. But they've been doing that for a while now, and I wanna kind of clarify a little bit. It's not that they're using CG bad, physical practical good. I'm not one of those people at all. Let's back up for a little bit of let's talk movies in general. I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, we don't like these Marvel films because it's just a big old CG mess, or the Transformers. While I agree those movies are just CGI blobs that are really hard to follow, that's not just the CGI's fault, that's design fault, that's film techniques, and if you ask me, Michael Bay doesn't really know how to make a movie. That's just my opinion. If you like them, whatever, that's fine. I'm not one of those that are like, oh, they don't make movies good anymore because they don't do practical effects. I'm not one of those people. I do really appreciate the miniatures and the practical effects with Ultraman. It's part of what I love so much about it. It's those
very
miniature
endearing
shots. The miniature shots are chef's kisses, man.
Yeah,
I love those.
Mwah.
But specifically with Ultraman, even when they do the little CGI in Ultraman, like with Toku right now, the over reliance on CG with Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, I just feel like it's not that you're bad because you're using CGI, and it's not that you can't make good CGI. It's not that at all. It's one, CGI costs a lot of money, and they don't have the budget to make the CGI look like a Marvel movie. They don't have the CGI to make it look photorealistic. Obviously, they're not necessarily going for that, but the budget is what keeps it back. And while you can see some of the budget in some of the suits, bringing up the same example that we've talked about before, the Q-Ranger unicorn power-up, you could definitely see the budget in that when the sticker wrinkled, and on the HD you could see, this little piece of the foam is broken off and the sticker's wrinkled. That's a negative on that. But as far as the budget for the Tokusatsu CGI, it's just not there, and it just looks bad. I want to point to like the Saber first episode where they're doing this render in Unreal Engine, which you can get some really cool stuff. Excuse the pun. You can get some Unreal images from the Unreal Image software.
I'm not gonna excuse you. You did that on purpose.
I know. Anyway, So sorry, man. I like puns. It's fine.
Do you?
Anyway,
Anyway.
Unreal Engine, you can do some really good stuff, but it costs a lot of money to do it, and it's not just. It's labor, is what it is. It's these things take a lot of time to do, and therefore it costs a lot of money to do. So you can have one guy do it and do it a really long time, or for things like the Marvel movies, they have whole like hundreds of individuals working on this, and they put it all together so you can get the stuff done quicker, but you also need more labor. And this, they don't have the money to pay more people to do it. They have a small team, and they have to get it out at a quick time. So they don't have the time to make it good, and they don't have the staff to make it look good. So the budget doesn't allow it to look good. So I hate that they're putting more of it in there. And I guess they're putting more of it in there so they can practice and get better at it. And as you've mentioned, and I agree, it has gotten better. It's just not at that point to where I think it looks good.
Yeah, and then like that's what I'm saying though, is like they're, at least in Zenkaiger, like everything to the background, to the mech itself, to like what they're fighting is very obviously CG. Like even to the point like it doesn't even feel realistic. It feels like we got transported to another dimension. So I feel like it takes you out of it, really.
Which for Zenkaiger, the whole different dimension thing is kind of on purpose.
Not with that, I don't think. I mean, they've done some interesting miniature work though with like the mechs and stuff, because a lot of the times they'll like throw out a bunch of random stuff in the city or whatever. So it's more than they normally do. But they sort of aren't doing like amazing miniature work like Ultra's doing.
Yeah, Sentai, well, Kamen Rider doesn't really have miniatures because they don't grow big, except for that one time that he did.
You mean Jay?
Was it Jay? Or
it's
was
Jay.
it? I don't. Okay. Anyway, with the exception of that one time, they don't really get big. So, with Super Sentai, a lot of times the miniature work is just very minimal. The Ultraman miniature work is spot on, and it's just so good that being an Ultraman fan just makes me dislike the Megazord fights in Sentai a little bit more, which was kind of what I liked about Sentai in general. So it's kind of hard for me to excuse it when they're doing such a good job with it, you know?
You know, honestly, I feel like here in the next few years or so, probably, just as like a quality of show, I think Ultra may overtake the other two, and here's why I'm saying this. They're not doing their legal battle anymore, so of course their budget's going to, of course, increase in that matter. But what I more mean is that Sentai and Rider, they don't have dedicated like studios or places to do like their shots and scenes and such. So like everybody always jokes that, like, oh, they always have like the same 5 locations. I keep filming everything, but the problem is with that is that's the only places they can shoot. Like filming laws in Japan are really strict, getting stricter. The number of places you can shoot things are going down. Like if you look at a trend for Kamen Rider, like the amount of times they are spent on a bike has been decreasing drastically ever since really the beginning of Heisei era Rider. Like you've seen a dip in every single one. Almost every single one is like less than the previous one. And if you don't know, there's a law in Japan that you can't have a modified bike on the roads. So they can't
They also only have a little strip that they can actually film you going down a bike on, and it's not very long, and a bike going as fast as it is, you get like 3 seconds of footage. So they have to cycle it through, and then they have to slow it down, then speed it up, and then you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of problems there. And that's kind of why you don't really get the rider aspect of Kamen Rider that much anymore.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
It's sad, and it's all due to laws. Like, so either like with them, they're gonna have to like just bite the bullet and be a bit behind and like spend some resources to building like a proper set location for them to do stuff, or they're gonna have to start shooting overseas or something. which is going to be an expense in its own right. Where Ultra is really not going to have this problem because they already have built dedicated studios and like all these resources for them to film with. So like they're good.
Yeah, and honestly, Super Raya with its increase of popularity of Ultraman in the West, and with the attempt of Kamen Rider hitting West, I don't know if they've done a decent enough job yet. We'll see where it goes, but they've basically just given breadcrumbs at this point, and Super Sentai is not really going to stretch out to the West because of Power Rangers.
Yeah, because you're just like, oh, we're gonna watch Power Rangers.
Well, the thing with the Power Ranger thing, I didn't really mean to get into this, but I guess I will. This is not confirmed. This is all speculation based on nuggets of things that we can find and the way certain marketing teams have worded things. So basically the consensus, well, I wouldn't even say consensus because people are arguing about this, but the leading theory here is after Dino Fury, which is the current Power Rangers season, Hasbro has cut ties with Toei. The reason why we think this is because of the way that Toei's financial reports have been submitted. They used to include the Power Rangers terminology in with Super Sentai. Now, this is partly because the Japanese, or the specifically Korea and other, I think it's the same with other Asian markets that are not Japan, but in Korea, Super Sentai is called Power Rangers. They take the Japanese Super Sentai footage, dub it into Korean, and then call that Power Rangers.
That's kind of funny.
It is kind of funny, but basically Toei has gotten, they get royalties kind of from, they used to get from like Saban and all this stuff for using Super Sentai imagery, etc. They get their cut. You know, so their financial reports,
they're getting their piece of the pie. I gotcha.
Right. Their financial reports include that under Power Rangers. Well, this past year, that part has been removed from their financial reports. So this leads a lot of people to believe that Hasbro has cut ties with Toei and they kind of want to take it in a new direction. Now, what has Hasbro done so far? They've done 2 seasons of
Ranger. They did Go Busters and Ryu Soldier, which was Beast Morphers and Dino Knights, whatever. Dino Fury.
That's what I was saying. We've done 2 seasons of Beast Morphers, which was Go Busters. That is what they acquired while they acquired the toy rights and then later purchased the franchise full sale.
I think
that was already in production, which was Saban. Go ahead.
Actually, now I'm thinking of it, I think we already have confirmed for a second season of Dino thing.
Yes, I'm getting there.
Okay.
So Beast Morphers 2 seasons. The Saban, who owned it previously, they were already in production with Beast Morphers. So when Hasbro acquired Power Rangers, that was already in production. They just had to absorb it and rock with it. They couldn't change it. They had to just kind of part of the acquiring. They just had to take it and move it. So much like how Wild Force was a transition from when Saban owned it first and then sold it to Disney. That was around the time that Wild Force was airing, and Wild Force was like a transitionary period. And then they moved to New Zealand after Wild Force, starting with Ninja Storm, and started filming from New Zealand. This was the transitionary period from when Saban rebought Power Rangers back from Disney and sold it to Hasbro. They had a legal agreement with Nickelodeon to show three years. So they did 2 years of Beast Morphers, and then they showed the first season of Dino Fury, which was Ryusoldier.
Mm-hmm.
The second season is no longer going to be with Nickelodeon, and the second season is being showed on Netflix. So they no longer have a contract with Nickelodeon. I presume this contract was only signed for 1 season for Netflix. So we're curious as to see where this goes. This also lines up with what I said about the financial reports. It's very possible we are not going to get a Sentai adaptation for Power Rangers after Dino Fury. It's very possible we could get something completely different and new entirely. Hasbro's put it out that they've wanted to... They've mentioned many times that this franchise has a lot of potential and that they want to put their own spin on it.
So, are we thinking like not Power Rangers, but still Sentai footage, or are we thinking of they're just gonna start making their own thing altogether?
Probably that.
Really?
Now,
like
whether it's I don't think that they will be adapting any new Sentai footage. They probably won't be reusing any Sentai footage. If they do a live action, which I don't think they will, it'll be all new. But my guess is they might go animated.
Oh.
I don't know if that's true or not. This is all speculation at this point. But
I don't know if I'd like that. But that being said, I already think Power Rangers isn't for me anymore, so whatever.
I haven't enjoyed a season in a long time. I don't really even watch it anymore. I just follow it because it's kind of associated with this stuff.
Yeah, it's adjacent to the things I do like.
But we do know that they're doing a new film franchise, so that's already guaranteed. We're going to get a new film franchise. It's not going to be connected to the 2017 film, obviously, but some people think that they might do a sequel to it. No, it's not. It's going to be completely different and completely new.
I liked that movie.
I did too. I was a big supporter of it. A lot of people did not like it. I really enjoyed it.
I think probably because the Megazord was bad and they didn't spend a lot of time actually being Rangers.
Yeah. That's the most well-known criticisms. I don't disagree with those points, but I still enjoyed the movie. And I think it's not as bad as people say. But
I mean, it could definitely be better, but you know, I think it was good enough. Anyway, this is not even that. Whoa, tangents inside of tangents. We're on a lot of this is what the ending of a news episode is like, you guys.
Seriously. But what I was really trying to point at is we don't know where it's going. And that's kind of exciting, ? Because what does Power Rangers without Super Sentai look like? Because that's what they were.
I mean, I guess I mean, there was an Ultra like that, but it was a comic, right?
Well, Ultra's never taken Japanese footage and cut in American footage. They've never done that. They've never done that. They did it with Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, which was Gridman. They did that.
Wait, there was an American version of Gridman?
Yeah, you didn't know about that?
No, what was it?
Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, all spelled with S's. That's why there's 4 S's in front of SSSS Gridman, the anime.
Oh, so the anime has a reference to the American version? I actually didn't know that.
Yes.
Oh.
There's actually a lot more references in that anime to the American version. There's a lot of them.
That's pretty neat. I didn't know that.
Well, Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad was Gridman, but they did the Power Rangers thing where they took the suit footage and then put American actors in it. But it was very 90s sitcom, or late 80s, early 90s sitcom, where it was basically Saved by the Bell with a Gridman fight in there.
Okay.
Yeah. And the original Gridman is like 30 something episodes or whatever.
Right. It's not super long.
Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad had more than 50.
Did they just recycle? Wait, how do you just not? Or did they have episodes where they didn't have Gridman in it?
No, they recycled the same footage. They would be like, "Oh, you defeated my brother, blah blah blah. Now I'm this," but it's the exact same footage.
That's funny.
There was a lot of "you defeated my twin."
I gotcha.
But yeah, I think we should probably close out the show because we're just kind of fizzling out at this point. Tangents on tangents on tangents. Let's just kind of close this out.
All right, so closing statements. Guys, we're really happy to be back. Hopefully, we're gonna get back to our normal schedule. We're gonna put out maybe an episode a month, maybe. Hopefully,
we're gonna try for that. No promises, but we're gonna try for that.
Sneak peek. I think our next episode is gonna be another Orb episode, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So congratulations, you listened to the end. You get to know what we're doing next.
Yep.
And
so if you have any questions, you want to talk with us, send us questions. If you send us questions, we'll try to answer them on the show. You know, the whole spiel, you know, be relevant, don't be rude, that kind of thing.
Yep, if you want us to read your emails on the show, just send them to us and let them know, and we'll read them at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, and that's A2Z podcast at gmail.com. And follow us on Twitter, and go subscribe to our YouTube channel if you like to listen to your podcast on YouTube. It's nothing really but where we dump our podcasts on YouTube. Because,
I mean, it's an archive. We have people that watch on YouTube, though. Not a lot, but we do.
We do. Yeah, we do. I'm just saying there's nothing extra there right now. It's literally just the podcast episodes there, which there are people who definitely listen to that on YouTube. If you do, please comment on the video so we know that you're there and we can say hi to you. But yeah, go to A to Z Podcast on YouTube, A to Z Podcast on Twitter. Send us a message. You know, shout us out. Talk to us. We want to talk to you.
Send an envelope full of glitter to Gaim's house.
No. No. Glitter is the spawn of Satan, as I always say.
Yeah, we have a buddy who has a different name for it.
Yeah, I was about to say that joke, but I didn't really.
Yeah, that thing is a bit too spicy, though. We can't actually. If you want to know what the joke is, comment and subscribe. We'll tell you.
Exactly. So, I think that's about it. Oh yeah, check out Swoos's Twitch channel. He streams a lot of video games.
We do the video games. I am a VTuber with my Kamen Rider persona, Dr. Swoos, and you can find my channel at Dr. Swoos ZX at twitch.tv.
Yep. So, that'll do it for today. Do you have one last thing you want to say?
Guys, it's been a while. We're all coming together. We're getting the ball rolling again. So, guys, just hang in there. Be your best you can be. Go out today. Try to help an old lady cross the street. Clean up your neighborhood. Go support hashtag Team Seas. And let's get this ocean clean, everyone.
Yeah. And be sure to watch out for the next one.